Hello, good evening, welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from News Up here at Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. We're live all across the world on 3news.com. You can also watch us on our various social media handles as we are streaming live on our 3FM927 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can share your thoughts, your views, and your opinions about the issues we're going to be talking about in the next 60 minutes. Read out to the rest of the world. Coming up this evening, Special Prosecutor questions former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister Cecilia Abnadapa over the missing stash of cash from her home after she was arrested by the OSP's office. We have the latest detail on this particular development. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. Also, we get some reactions and also from the governing MPP. We understand has expunged the name of Cecilia Abnadapa from its special delegate list ahead of the elections on August 26. Details coming up shortly. Also, anti-corruption crusaders have waded into this matter. They'll be sharing their views and thoughts as we go on in the bulletin this evening. National Petroleum Authority set to roll out cylinder recirculation module effective September 2023. But the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, warns the authority to tread cautiously with the implementation. We have the latest in business as the Bank of Ghana has increased the monetary policy, that's the policy rate, to about 30% by 50 basis points. We have industry and especially the private sector reacting to this latest development. Stay with us. We have all these plus more in sport and entertainment coming up over the next 60 minutes here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. I am Alfred Ocansey. Welcome. Well, former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister Cecilia Abnadapa has been questioned by the Office of Special Prosecutor following what was growing pressure on state agencies to commence investigations into the revelations after she went to court to demand that her house helps be charged with stealing of about $1 million, 350,000 euros, and unspecified amount of Ghana cedis, plus some jewelry and also men's suits belonging to her husband. The special prosecutor, before midday today, was widely reported to have received nearly 200 petitions demanding a probe into how the minister acquired the $1 million and other currencies which were allegedly stolen by her house helps at her Abelempe residence. Well, the OSP in a statement announced it has commenced investigations into the matter after placing the former minister under arrest. Now, we have eyes and ears at the OSP's office. We understand already there's an indication the houses of the former minister have been searched. One of them so far has been searched. That's information we have. The Abelempe residence, we understand there's another residence of hers in cantonments, which is also within the radar of the Office of Special Prosecutor. We are following that quite closely. The announcement of the arrest and subsequent commencement of investigation, meanwhile, has not engineered confidence from a section of the Ghanaian populace. Many who have taken to social media have described the development as a small screen. President of Imani Africa, Franklin Kojo, is joining me on the telephone for a quick one on this particular development. Mr. Kojo, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. Now, we've seen the special prosecutor now arrest Cecilia Abnadapa. We understand some of her residences are being searched as we speak as well. How does all of these developments strike you?
Well, good evening to yourself and your listeners. First of all, I think I mentioned to you a while back that all of this probably wouldn't have mattered if the police that received the initial complaint of theft had taken action much earlier. So while this may be welcome news, this is more like something that should not really have arisen in the first place, because if the police that received the information had acted, we wouldn't even be here. So I don't think it is good to impute. I don't think it is good to impute ill motives to what the OSP is doing. But it would really had amounted to nothing if the police officers who received the first information of this theft case had acted promptly by investigating the church sums as well.
I see, but you wouldn't also fault the Ghanaian people, at least the people we've been speaking to so far, and the social media monitoring that we've done so far about this Office of Special Prosecutor investigations into this Cecilia Benadapa issue, would you? Especially because of what's happened since Friday as this matter became public. She turned in her resignation. The president, in accepting her resignation, then goes ahead to say, you know what, after everything, your integrity will be, quote, fully established. The president had already taken a position about this particular investigations in the first place.
Well, it's a bit of a conundrum, if you ask me. And like I keep saying, the president has taken a rather strange position of not throwing his people under the bus. While he's entitled to do that, he may as well also stop being definitive when it comes to matters of this nature. He shouldn't even be commenting on them at all. He could have simply said, well, thank you so much for your services. Let's allow the investigations to continue, and let's get to the bottom of this matter. And that would have ended the matter. But rather went on those flowery speeches about how good a loyal the person has been to the state and the party and the government. And to add that, well, he thinks his integrity will be intact. While that is reassuring, maybe that was a bit too much for ordinary Ghanaians to understand. But like I said, I mean, the president is known to not to really throw his people under the bus. So it was, for me, I wasn't surprised.
So, but you see, perception is key, and you made reference to that the last time we spoke, not only in politics but in governance. And in this situation, how would this statement by the president impact on the investigation by the Office of Special Prosecutor?
Well, I mean, it is for the Special Prosecutor to prove himself that he's not infected by comments of that nature. Maybe that's why he's gotten into an overdrive mode right now. Like I said, I mean, the OSP is now taking the grandstanding position for the failure simply because the police officers who must have acted immediately actually failed to act. You can't fault the OSP. Well, it's most likely that the same conversation we're having right now, there's a reason why the OSP thinks that he needs to act quickly, so that people do not say that, well, he sat on the fence and did nothing, and may probably be doing good work. So let's just allow him, really.
Indeed, and that's exactly what some others have talked about, the benefit of the doubt. But in your view, I mean, sitting back and also looking at the fact that this special prosecutor was appointed by the president, and these are views that others have expressed, which I'm putting to you, that this special prosecutor was appointed by the president. The president, as you've earlier indicated, has assumed this strange position of, defending his appointees, and even when there is glaring evidence of he also taking a contrary position, he does not do that. Then how should the Office of Special Prosecutor conduct this investigation so that it becomes very clear and open, transparent to everyone, so that we would all be on the same page when the outcome is made known?
Well, Alfred, I would imagine that the OSP's credibility will be called into question if he does not get to the bottom of something he's just started, and if he's not going to be, and definitely we'll know the outcome, unless, of course, he stopped midstream, and then we'll all be wondering why he did, or he comes out with some rather strange reasons, which we'll definitely be also worried about. But I suspect, and I want to give the OSP the benefit of the doubt, much as I think he's maybe taking too much, having too much on his plate already, I would think that he wouldn't have ventured into this matter if he thought he was not going to make any significant addition. Just as you said, the jury is still out there. Many people that you spoke with are suggesting that, well, this could be a small screen. It is for the OSP to prove otherwise, and I think that we probably should allow him to do that. But in my candid opinion, the police should have acted much, much earlier, rather than wait for the OSP to be called upon to act.
I see. So, even beyond this OSP's investigations, would you expect that the Ghana Police Service would also initiate another investigation into this?
Well, maybe too much meat may spoil the broth. At this stage, once the OSP has initiated action and has put the lady on house arrest, I think it will be double jeopardy really for any other security agency to say they are beginning their own inquisition. There may be other aspects of it that I'm sure the OSP may be, if he's interested, or if he needs the services of the other agents like the EOCO and all the other ones, he probably will reach out. But at this stage, now that he's taking charge, it may look as if he's been undermined if any other entity decides to initiate its own investigations anyway, because they'll be looking for the same thing anyway, right?
That's indeed.
So it looks as if a lot of faith is being invested in the OSP, and for the reasons for which he's acted. So let's just hope that he acts in good faith. I believe he will. I'm sure he knows the consequences of not acting in good faith on this one. I think he would like to prove a point that he's nobody's poodle. It is in his own interest not to be seen as one. So I suspect he wouldn't like to be called one anyway.
And finally, in your view, what should he be looking out for in this investigation, knowing at least the information that we have in the public domain so far?
Well, the exact amount that is missing, I think he should go beyond what's been reported, because in any case, Madam Dapa herself has suggested that there were inconsistencies in the figures being reported and the ones that are lodged in the court. So the starting point will be, how much exactly do you have? Where did you get it from? How much exactly was there and how much has been stolen? They need to do that arithmetic, and then we can move on from there. Then we can start asking questions as to what the source of the money. Like I told you earlier, people should not be emotional about this matter at all. This is not a matter of personalization. It's not about the likeness for or against Madam Cecilia Dapa, who I think somehow has acquitted herself quite well in other positions she's held. But this is a matter beyond her now. This is a matter for the public, because once she's a public officer and resources of this kind have been found in the room, people need to know exactly the source of it. I remember I told you about the South African president, right?
Yes.
I don't want to repeat myself, but I think it is important to be told that the sitting South African president was a multi-billionaire before he became president, owned series of funds. It was reported somewhere, I think 2-3 years ago, that $4.5 million was missing from his farm, and he didn't report it. Someone snitched, reported it, and the police went into action immediately and found out that, yes, indeed, the money was missing, and started tracing the money. As we speak, I think about $580,000 has been, the source of that money has been seen, traced to a Sudanese businessman, and it's been verified. The remaining money is being chased. What it means is that even after going after the source of that money, they will now get into the circumstances under which it got missing, because he did not report it for the purposes of taxation and then possible suspicion of money laundering. That's a sitting South African president who was a multi-billionaire before he became president. So those listening and suggesting that the money belonged to her, there be an inheritance, or it belonged to the husband, that's neither here nor there. Public officer, unexplained money has been found in your home. You reported it missing. Well, you've got to be asked questions as to how it got there in the first place and whether it is the exact amount that is missing. Simple.
Simple as it. Thank you so much, Mr. Kojo, for your time on Hot Edition. Appreciate it, as always.
It's a pleasure, my brother.
Franklin Kojo is founding president of Imani Africa, a governance and policy think tank, sharing his thoughts with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. If you just joined us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, Madam Cecilia Dapa, who resigned her post on Saturday as Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, has been placed under arrest by the Office of Special Prosecutor for suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses. As you rightly be aware, the Office of Special Prosecutor can initiate investigations without being petitioned. So in this case, we understand already, as at midday today, some 200 petitions had been sent to the special prosecutor concerning Cecilia Benadapa. But, well, her arrest is in relation to the alleged sums of money and personal property stolen from her Abelemkpe home in Accra, for which 5 people are standing trial. A statement issued by the special prosecutor said, quote, Ms. Dapa is being questioned by authorized officers of the OSP. Now, so the last time we checked from our reporters who have been stationed at the entrance of the special prosecutor, a number of vehicles in a convoy were seen leaving the special prosecutor's office some minutes ago, and there's indication that the special prosecutor will be searching the residence of Cecilia Benadapa, both at Abelemkpe and I understand another in cantonments as well. Now, following media reports of an ongoing criminal trial of the 5 suspects for the missing millions, there have been a wave of calls for the arrest and investigation of Benadapa to ascertain the source of the large sums of money. 2 house helps, as you may already be aware, 18-year-old Patience Boche and 30-year-old Sarah Ajay, along with 3 others, allegedly stole $1 million, 300,000 euros, and millions of Ghana cedis being the monies and personal effects of Cecilia Benadapa and her husband between the months of July and October 2022. She, however, is disputing the amounts quoted on prosecution charge sheets to have been stolen in all, saying they are inconsistent with what she reported to the Ghana Police Service. So that's what's happening so far, and how things are played out so far, as we do know. And there are many who have also waded into President Akufo-Addo's statement on this matter, describing it as prejudicial. We're going to be joined shortly by lawyer Bobby Bansing, his private legal practitioner, to join us quickly on this matter, and a few other persons who have also been sharing their thoughts on this particular issue as well. In fact, there are others, the likes of private legal practitioner Kweku Pentil was saying that President Akufo-Addo's comments extolling and affirming the integrity of the immediate past sanitation minister Cecilia Benadapa is inappropriate and prejudicial. The minister resigned, after the report emerged that she had stashed sums of money in her home. In her letter addressed to President Akufo-Addo, Cecilia Benadapa explained that she decided to step down because she did not want this matter, quote, to become a preoccupation of government and a hindrance to the work of government. However, President Akufo-Addo, in accepting her resignation, praised her for her loyalty and excellent work done during her tenure. He also expressed his confidence in the former minister's integrity, as if, indeed, to suggest that she is not guilty of any corruption even before official investigations commenced. The president's letter, part of it here, quoted, "I am confident like you that at the end of the day, your integrity whilst in office will be fully established." That's what particular issue that a number of people have been reacting to on this. And we'll go back to this particular story and some of your views and your thoughts as you're posting on social media at 3FM 927. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. But the National Petroleum Authority is set to commence full implementation of the cylinder recirculation module from September this year. That's according to a letter cited by 3 News. Government mooted the reintroduction of the program in 2017 after a series of gas explosions in the country. Its implementation, however, suffered a setback, but the NPA says after extensive work, it is now ready to roll out the program. The NPA, in a letter to LPG marketers and other stakeholders, indicated that the start of the program in the Greater Accra region and the Central region will begin from September this year and then extended to other regions across the country in phases. The cylinder recirculation module involves filling of the domestic cylinders with LPG at the bottling plants and the distribution of same to LPG consumers at the cylinder exchange points. Now, let's understand a bit further why these concerns have been raised. Zankanamo, Executive Director of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC. Zama, thank you for joining us on Hot Edition. Your urgent caution in the implementation of this recirculation module. What exactly are your concerns?
Alfred, the implementation rollout probably would need to be thought through again. We need to be careful opposed to cylinder recirculation model, CRM for short. Neither do I get a sense that the industry players themselves are even opposed to. But as it is, if we do not take care, we will disrupt the entire gas or LPG supply chain with a certain fanciful cylinder recirculation model program, which might not solve the issues confronting Ghanaian consumers, the petroleum downstream itself, and then even the banks who may be caught in the process. One, you have a situation where the authority itself, through their licensing department, would have gone through a lot of, routine checks to issue licenses to this LPG marketing companies, some of whom have gone ahead to take banking facilities to, as it is, put up the retail stations that you find around us who have served us for all these years. Now, we are in a hurry as a country to say that because there was an explosion at the atomic end, and there's been one or two near misses here and there, their operations are not safe, so we are gravitating towards the bigger plan. What we would say is that don't go and destroy people's businesses immediately, thinking that what you are rather seeking to introduce is a solution in itself, when you and I know maintenance culture in this country clearly leaves a lot to be desired. Again, on the part of consumers, the new CRM portends a lot of economic challenge. As it stands now, you have a lot of consumers who probably are able to go to the market, fuel their LPG bottles for 20 cedis, 30 cedis, 10 cedis, sometimes when they don't have much. If you put together this recirculation program that says we're going to have bottling plants out there with pre-filled bottles, so when your gas is finished, take your gas to any of the redistributor outlets and pick an already filled, LPG bottle. What it would mean is that if I come and it's 200 cedis pre-filled, my tank is the 14.5 kg. I'm not willing to substitute that for a smaller bottle. What it would mean is that I would necessarily need to produce the 200 Ghana cedis pre-filled bottle that you have there, or else I probably go and resort to charcoal, because the only money I probably have on me at that time is 20 cedis or 30 cedis. So economically, it's going to have a lot of rollout issues for the people who don't have as much money in our communities who are currently dependent on LPG, because the gas bottles are pre-filled. You don't have anywhere else to go and then say you are buying gas as we do currently. Then you talk of the people who even use auto gas. Quite a good number of vehicles within our system currently depend on LPG for their day-to-day operations. They have outlets across that you probably can just drive to buy your gas. With the coming on stream of the bottling plants, I'm quite certain that these guys who also depend on LPG to be able to move their cars would now be left with, fewer stations that the NPA itself has said is going to leave to continue working. If that happens, and let's say you stay at the Akuman, and the closest station that was left to work is somewhere in Medina, you can imagine the stresses that you are going to put these people through. So we need to think slowly. We would caution that instead of a full rollout program, why not, allow the two systems to coexist? The retailer outlets, as they are now, can continue to work. Then the new bottling plants can take care of the bulk consumers or the bulk customers, the schools, the clinics who depend on LPG, the hotels the universities across that may also have use for LPG. We can target the bigger one, but as it stands, it looks as though we are in a hurry to just collapse businesses, whereas what we are seeking to introduce is also with its own challenges altogether.
I see, but then again, I mean, there are those who also would argue that government mooted the reintroduction of this program as far back as 2017, which was occasioned by these
because
gas explosions.
Atomic.
Yes, the atomic gas explosion and so others. So from 2017 till date, you are privy to the kind of conversations that have happened. Why do you still think that we're not prepared for a full rollout?
You see, the type of economy you operate, let me put in perspective. Before the atomic incident, we have standards pertaining to the gas sector. In fact, the NPA itself does its own monitoring, does its own certification. Where the checklist is not met, those outlets are asked to go and fix whatever needs to be fixed in order to be able to stay in business. And so to say that one has blown up or one has had an incident or an accident, so all the others should shut down, we'll be aching to say that, look, a vehicle has had an accident, a VIP or let's say an STC bus or a Metro Mass had an accident, on the Kumasi Road. So all Metro Mass buses should shut down or should stop working. That is exactly the kind of dosage we are dealing to these people. And we think that this is not the very best of things to introduce at this time, especially when people have contracted, as it were, finances to be able to construct these stations. The NPA has supervised these stations' construction. The banks have invested. If you wake up tomorrow morning and all you are told is that we are rolling out CRM in September, so your activities are going to be halted forthwith, I think that as an investor or as a business, you would have challenges. Again, we the consumers are equally worried about the fact that, like I indicated, the current setup allows me to buy 20 cities. CRM will probably come with its own challenges because the bottles are pre-filled. You don't have a retailer outlet there that you can go with your 15 Ghana cities to say, I'm buying 15 Ghana cities. So what are you doing to these people? Are you going to cut them to go and use charcoal again? If the MPA thinks that the CRM is probably the very best of things to happen, we will remind them that we've done CRM before in this country. It didn't succeed. And so we need to think out slowly. The kind of economy you have is such that people will want to be able to afford what their pockets can afford and not what you have pre-filled. They would cite this aching to Coca-Cola that, bottles are filled already, you go, you pick one, you go. LPG, unfortunately, cannot be treated as though it were Coca-Cola bottles because clearly a lot more goes into how people patronize LPG altogether. And we think that, like we've said, you can allow both systems to work for at least a decade. And then you'll be able to decide that this is what your people are able to work a lot easier with or flow with. But as opposed to just waking up to say that, look, we are rolling out, so your outlets will have to shut down. No compensation is going to be made available to anybody. Look, we are simply going to throw Ghanaian indigenous business people out of business. We are going to throw consumers also to now go and use charcoal because at the end of the day, if your least bottle is 50 cedis and I don't have 50 cedis, how do I get gas? I need to go and buy charcoal. That is not what I think the government should be focused on, especially coming from COP20 when we've gone to sign to protect the environment and do all the things necessary to be done to ensure that the environment is protected. It doesn't look like we are probably thinking about the bigger picture here. It is not bad to have a CRM, but the implementation, we need to think slowly.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your time. Duncan Amoah is the director of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, on this cylinder recirculation module reintroduction. But We'll definitely get through to the National Petroleum Authority for some more reactions to the concerns that the likes of Duncan Amor have raised. But you're still live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Y and beyond. Now, if you just joined that, former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister Cecilia Benadapa has been questioned by the Office of Special Prosecutor following what was growing pressure on state agencies to commence investigations against her. The Special Prosecutor's Office, before midday, from what we understand, was widely reported to have received nearly 200 petitions demanding a probe into how the minister acquired $1 million, 300,000 euros, and over 350,000 cedis from what we see on the charge sheet and other items, which were allegedly stolen by her house helps at her Bellingpit residence. Well, the OSP has issued a statement announcing it has commenced investigations into the matter after placing the former minister under arrest. In fact, the announcement of the arrest and subsequent commencement of the investigation, meanwhile, has not really engineered confidence from a section of the Ghanaian people that we spoke to. Many of them also express their own doubts about the impact of this particular investigation and the outcome by the special prosecutor.
It's very disappointing. I think that as a minister of state, she's supposed to set a good example. Given that she's a cabinet member and she knows how the economic situation is, how much keeping such an amount of money in the house will have an impact on the economy entirely. But I'm also more worried about the future of this country and how people like her in a position are building a society for young people like us who are coming up.
If you think it is not the government's money, it's not our money, why are you resigning? She needs to be investigated. The girl, whatever the situation, if she was being paid well, I don't think she would steal. You're not treating your workers well. Because if you are treating them well, there is no way she'll come and steal from you.
So now, because I see when the vehicle went to my house there, now ministry now one. I was can the doesn't.
I think we are being somehow unfair with her, because the fact that she's a politician doesn't mean she doesn't have other things doing. I think we are not being fair to her.
Why should such a money be kept in the house? For what reason? You should answer that question.
Yancheno, Uncle on first canon on face if you are some Quadano Munya Bimbia. Uncle won't say Ghana, a bread, Uncle on fat, a big crampon cut my government, so one for support Mammy and Chino. Cramfire went on there any ya. Oh, we are in there, and yaw. Will be we are, I owe ya. He said, Susan Ghana, I did. There be the cramp and yabindi.
Well, so these are some Ghanaians sharing their thoughts on this. And as we indicated earlier, the special prosecutor has just commenced investigation, so there's no conclusion that the said monies were indeed stolen public funds. But Beauty Emefa Nate is Executive Secretary of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, joining us on the telephone. Madam, thank you so much for your time here on Hot Edition. So, the special prosecutor has initiated investigations as you and many others called for. What are your expectations of this particular process that has just started?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ocansey, and good evening to your listeners. It's refreshing that, as we expected, the special prosecutor has moved in swiftly to initiate arrests and investigations into this matter. Our expectation is that we should see the special prosecutor conducting the investigation and extending it to the people who are associated with the woman. So it shouldn't just be her. We have people called the politically exposed persons who are connected to her. These people should also be subject of investigation, especially where we are hearing that some of the money may belong to other people. So those people connected to her should also be investigated. And ultimately, we expect the special prosecutor to put out the information so that we'll have public the citizens can all be updated on the case, because this is the public interest case. Whether the wealth is legitimately acquired or illegitimately acquired, it's important for citizens to know.
See, now there are already concerns about the impact of the president's statement in accepting the resignation of Cecily Abnadapa and how that influences public perception about the special prosecutor's work. Because one, if the president has already indicated that her integrity will be fully restored or established, and then this investigation is being led by an appointee of the president, I mean, the special prosecutor being appointed by the president, you can understand why the public have these sentiments of doubt, is it not?
Okay, so personally, I wouldn't want to see things from that perspective. What we are saying, if we do that, is that we don't trust the office of the special prosecutor to do its work independently. We should allow the special prosecutor to do its work. And I don't believe that the letter from the president would, in a way, prevent the special prosecutor from doing its work and making the findings public. So I don't really see that as an issue. I believe that for us, as far as we are concerned, the special prosecutor can do this work and should be allowed to do its work and then report him. I want to call on Ghanaians to exercise patience. Evidence gathering can sometimes take time. We have already judged the issue in the court of public opinion, but investigations in corruption cases, even as much as we want corrupt people to be punished, we also have to be sure that innocent people are not punished in a way that does not help in the judicial or puts the judicial confidence in the judiciary. So that is why it's important for everybody to be patient. There are issues, even if the wealth was illegitimately acquired, there are still issues that borders on ethics, because the expectation that as a minister of state, you know the implications of keeping huge sums of money outside the financial sector, especially given the situation, the economic situation Ghana is in now. And you know, as at last year, how much, the CD and the dollar, the issues that we have in terms of the exchange rate and all that. So if this thing happened last year, meaning that money could have restored some confidence in the financial sector. So it's also an ethical issue beyond what is legal. So I think that we should exercise caution and restraint and allow the investigators to do their work.
And just to also add a bit about how to instill some confidence in the work of the special prosecutor beyond the concerns and sentiments that the public have raised. How should this investigation be done so that the outcome would also be trusted by the public because of already these sentiments that have been expressed at the OSP?
Okay, so as I said, it's about making the process comprehensively transparent. And I believe that process has already started. For instance, the OSP has informed us about the arrest. The going to her house was also made public, and then extending it to other possible people around her may be another option that the OSP is considering. We don't know yet. But as of today, the OSP has interviewed her. I believe she spent a number of hours in the office, and from there they took her to the house, and they are supposed to go to the official residence and her personal residence. So once those investigations are done, the next step is for us to know what is next in terms of what the OSP wants to do.
Madam Mfanate, thank you. Appreciate your time. Here on Hot Edition, I know she had to step out of a meeting to talk to us. Beauty Mfanate is Executive Secretary of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. Thank you so much for your time here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W93.5 in Wa. Also, the Ashanti Regional Police Command has commenced investigation into circumstances that led to the death of a resident of Aswasi Guru. Salah Houdin died shortly after he was arrested in a police swoop operation meters away from his home on Sunday, July 23. The family of the deceased claim the police manhandled their relative and left him to die. Here's a report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
That moment, about 2-3 minutes, they called Alaji and informed the Alaji that the boy Shila, the police people have arrested the boy. And he said, we are all working here, but how come that they have arrested Shila? And the Alaji told me that, I should check where they say they have arrested Shila. So I just came out. When I came out, I just ran. When I came out, I searched and then I went and they told me he's at the back door. I just went and the boy was dead, lying down dead. The boy was lying down. No one was there because the police people came, they do the scatter. All the people here, they all ran away. So I went there and the boy was dead. So I went there. So there was another boy staying in the house. He saw, because I was there, he came, then we took the body. If you have arrest somebody, and then the fellow, maybe something happened to him, the first thing you have to do is you have to take him to the hospital. Even though if he's a criminal or whatever it is, you have to take him to the hospital. Then first aid or whatever it is. If he come normal, then whatever the case is you can do. But you shouldn't have leave the fellow like that, then you go away.
Let's get a quick update on this. Ibrahim Abubakar, a Ashanti regional correspondent, is joining me on the telephone. Ibrahim, what's the latest on this incident?
Well, Alfred, for now the family has decided to keep trust in the police command. They met with the Ashanti regional police commander after they conducted the autopsy and presented him with the report. And he has assured them that thorough investigations will be done into the circumstances that led to their relative, and they will take it on from there. Because per their report, they said what even pushed them to go and conduct the autopsy report was because the police were alleging that Salah Houdin tripped and fell, and that's where he died. But when they went for the autopsy report, it was indeed stated that he died due to bleeding, internal bleeding, and because eyewitness had already said they saw the police stepping on him, on his abdomen, on his ribs and other parts, and that's how come he died instantly. And indeed, the autopsy report also confirmed that. So they have presented that to the police command and have also advised the youth to exercise patience and not take the law into their own hands. They are waiting for what the police will say before they also think about the next line of action.
Ibrahim, I thank you so much for this update. Appreciate it. Ibrahim Abubakar is Ashanti regional correspondent. 16 minutes till they are here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Nana Ekia Mensa Brampa is here with the details. Monetary policy
and the crossroads also to the budget.
Absolutely, we don't know when.
We're in a crossroads because there's two things at a time. On Friday, Parliament, we understand, said the budget, or should I say the mid-year review statement, will be on the 27th, which is a Thursday. Our correspondent, Komla Kluchi, has said emphatically that the minister this year will not come under emotion, but he is going to read a statement, which means that the MPs can only contribute and not debate. On the other hand, we have close sources from the Ministry of Finance who are saying that they are preparing for Tuesday, which is tomorrow, the 25th of July, and they are also working with tomorrow. So the ministry is saying 25th, which is tomorrow. Parliament is saying 27. So which is which? We are hoping to hear from these two people, because it puts us in the middle.
Absolutely.
And so that is where the difficulty.
Anyway.
But Alfred, the policy rate has increased once again. So I always want to remind you, especially, that if you know you are owing any bank, you've taken any loan, or you have plans of taking any loan, it is going to increase. So, well, let's get to the details now. My name is Naniki Amensa Brampa, and interest on your existing bank loans, as well as the cost of borrowing, are likely to go up in coming days. This is because the Bank of Ghana has increased the policy rate to 30% from 29.5%. The 50 basis points increase, according to the governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, falls in line with the policy tightening stance proposed by the IMF and the marginal increase in the rate of inflation.
Its assessment, risks to the inflation profile are judged to be elevated, driven by second-round effects of food prices. Ghana's macroeconomic framework requires decisive tightening from both the fiscal and monetary side to anchor inflation expectations firmly on the declining path. Given these considerations and under the current circumstances, the committee has decided to increase the monetary policy rate by 0.5% to 30%.
And so that was the governor, Dr. Ernest Addison. And reacting to this, economist Professor Lord Mensah has indicated that the central bank must review its approach to tackling inflation in the country, as the current strategy of the hike in policy rate has failed in checking the phenomenon.
If it turns up that you've increased policy rate by 50 basis points, and, government is also looking out for revenue enhancement through the IMF program. As a result of that, increases taxes, or possibly introduce new taxes. That is going to affect, prices as well. So while the policy rate is trying to arrest, inflation or to bring it down, the taxes are going to pass through increasing prices to the market. So there's going to be that kind of a stalemate, in our, economic policies. That is why I'm saying that the policy rate alone cannot serve its purpose of controlling prices if it does not consider, the activities on the fiscal side. So from where I sit, I believe that the 50% or the 50 basis point is more powerful or more weightier in terms of bringing price down than introduction of taxes or repackaging of taxes that we're going to next in the mid-year budget review.
That was economist Professor Lord Mensah. Let's go back to the governor of the central bank, who has also been sharing his thoughts about incidents surrounding the former sanitation minister, Madam Cecilia.
First question that you asked, yes, we are all worried, but really, this is a matter that is still unfolding and involving the court, so there's not much that one can say.
And so a question was posed to the governor on whether or not the central bank is worried that we found alleged huge sums of money in the home of Madame Cecilia Dapa, the former sanitation minister. And that was a reaction from the governor expressing worry and didn't want to add more because the issue is in court. But just before we go, governor of the central bank has again revealed that more armored bullion vans have been brought into the country to help reduce the rate of robbery attacks on the banks. Answering questions at the Monetary Policy Committee meeting press conference in Accra, he said the Interior Ministry will soon release the newly acquired bullion vans. According to the governor, a lot of banks are complying with the directive following the July 1 deadline for all financial institutions to procure armored bullion vans.
Overall, most of them are complying. There are standard operating procedures on how money is moved, and between the banks and the police and ourselves, we have issued guidelines on how they should go about, these things. Ideally, there should always be a police escort. A lot of armored vehicles have been procured by the banks. I cannot tell you the exact numbers, but a lot. The Ministry of Interior has to give approval for them to import. I've seen a lot of clearances from the Ministry of Interior.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Ernest Addison there. When you log on to 3news.com, you get more updates from the Bank of Ghana, anything inflation and everything business. My name is Nana Ikuya Mensa Abrampa. We have sports next. Oriko Ample for standing by. Ra.
Well, thank you very much, Nana Ikuya, for bringing us the latest in the world of business. We now switch our attentions to sports, where we'll be bringing you the latest from the European transfer window, which seems to be developing a lot of drama in the past few hours. But earlier today, Paris Saint-Germain received a record transfer fee for Kylian Mbappe, who was left out of the French club's squad for their pre-season tour. Now here are details of the offer from Saudi club Al Hilal.
Can tell us more.
Yes, PSG have given permission to Al Hilal to speak to Kylian Mbappe, which obviously means that they've accepted this €300 million bid. Now, it's all well and good PSG giving the club permission to speak to Kylian Mbappe, but does Kylian Mbappe want of his career? But Al Hilal do have that official permission now from PSG to make contact with the player and his camp and speak to him about what they are offering. Now, I suppose it's up to Kylian Mbappe and his family and his representatives whether they return the calls or return the emails, but the permission has been granted for Al Hilal to do that now.
Well, in terms of what Kylian Mbappe would be gaining from the move, if he is to go to Saudi Arabia, it will be somewhere in the region of €200 million for his salary yearly, but that could potentially rise to €700 million, including all the commercial deals, and you would have 100% of his image rights. But Real Madrid remain Kylian Mbappe's ideal next destination, but a move this summer remains unlikely, especially after we saw Real Madrid invest heavily in Jude Bellingham. The English midfielder played his first game for the 14-time Champions League winners in a friendly against AC Milan early on Monday, and head coach Carlo Ancelotti has reviewed the best position for Bellingham going forward.
The system that we are going to use as we play tonight is going to be number 10. If we play 4-3-3, maybe he can play left midfielder or right midfielders, but to try to use his characteristic. The best position for him is number 10 because he has more possibility and is closest to the opposite goal, and so depends, because this is a system that we are trying in this moment, but I think we have to wait a little bit how it goes during the season.
Well, that was head coach of Real Madrid, Carlo Ancelotti, speaking about Jude Bellingham and what would work for the English midfielder going forward in terms of what position he can play. Remember, he's a versatile player who can play across midfield and then sometimes supporting in the forward roles as well. But let's do some more stories and come to England, where Pep Guardiola has admitted that Erling Haaland seems to be fitter than he was when he joined the side a year ago. Now, this comes after the Norwegian forward was adjudged man of the match in Manchester City's first preseason game in a 5-3 win over Yokohama. Now, Erling Haaland scored a brace in that game. I remember that he's coming off a game where he scored 36 goals for Pep Guardiola's men. Here is what the Spanish coach had to say about his striker.
Comparing last season and that period, he's fitter. He's much better than the last season when he arrived, and I know we would love to be as like season, but at the end it's not the point. The point is no injury, and of course looks good, but still is away from the best condition like everyone. So, but of course important for him to score the 2 goals the first game, because last season, the last games he could not score. And the important is take the rhythm, the principles, the concept that we are working with all the time, so get it as best as possible, and we know exactly what he has to do. We know him, and in a few weeks we'll be in better condition than now.
And so that was Pep Guardiola there speaking on Erling Haaland, a striker that took the Premier League and Europe by storm, winning the Golden Boot in the Premier League, the Golden Boot in the Champions League, and ended up winning the treble as well with Manchester City. And so, if he's being described by Pep Guardiola as fitter this season than he was last year, where he achieved all of that, then you can only imagine what's in store for Pep Guardiola's side, and then for Erling Haaland personally as well. But that's how we wrap up the sport here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7. My name is Roy Kampofo, and up next is entertainment with Akofa.
Thank you very much, Oriku, for that update from the world of sports, and start time for the entertainment news segment here on Hot Edition. My name is Kofana. Coming up tonight in the bulletin, it was a night of rich cultural display as the 32 semi-finalists for this year's Ghana's Most Beautiful took to the stage to showcase their unique cultural heritage last night. If you missed it, here are some highlights just so we can catch up. As the final selection process, all 32 GMB hopefuls left no stone unturned as they hit the stage Sunday night in a bid to book a place in the final 16.
When it comes to our dressing, I hear Fantafona. Here fashion sense, your top notch.
For the first time since its inception, viewers have the power to select their regional representative in Ghana's Most Beautiful reality show in 2023. Adorned in their beautiful outfits, contestants dazzled the judges and viewers with their well-rehearsed presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to the Northern region. I assume the role of the Lonsa this night, a musical medium through which the rich and sophisticated history of my people has been well preserved and passed through generations.
Ladies, you have done amazing tonight, and if I were you, I'll be so proud of myself. Showing up alone to that competition at your regional level is confidence. You have nailed it, and you have made it this far. It means that you've got what it takes. It doesn't matter what happens tonight. This stage has been yours, and it will be forever in your memory. You can come back as many times, and for those of you who make it through, keep shining. Be happy. Go back tonight and say to yourself, I did it. We sit here as judges. We are proud of you for trying.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for to find out who amongst our 32 ladies will be representing your region. You voted. The judges have had their say as well. They've had 40%. You've had 60%.
16 finalists are expected to be announced in the coming days.
Mesdamoiselles.
Some highlights from last Sunday's GMB there, and to other stories now. Ghana Tourism Authority, in collaboration with the Panafest Foundation, has held wreath-laying ceremonies to mark the beginning of activities to commemorate this year's Emancipation Day celebration in Accra. The wreaths were laid at the W.E.B. Du Bois Center, George Patmore Library, and the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park were in honor of the departed leaders and freedom fighters.
For 25 years, Panafest and Emancipation have been one of the key events on Ghana's tourism calendar, celebrating the economic, social-cultural and spiritual contributions of freedom fighters throughout history. This year's wreath-laying ceremony, which began at the W.E.B. Du Bois Center and ended at the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, was to honor our leaders in their quest for freedom. Speaking to 3 Entertainment at the event was Akwesi Ajimai, CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority.
It's a very good takeoff for this year's PanaFest and Emancipation. Already we've been through the country. We started in Pikoro to Salaga, to Bunomanso yesterday at Asempra. And today we are kickstarting the actual week of PanaFest Emancipation. For me, there are 4 things that stand out. One is a renewal of our commitment to the struggle. Yes, we don't have the chains on us anymore, but the luta continues. We still have to break our mental barriers that we have. So we need to emancipate ourselves from our mental slavery. Number 2 is a period of re-education and relearning. A lot of us don't know the story. A lot of us don't know what our ancestors went through. A lot of us don't know what our forefathers went through. And so going through this process is a period of re-education. And number 3 is a period of unity.
And that will be all the entertainment news here on Hot Edition, powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Kofa, and join me later at 8 p.m. as I bring you Wind Down. On behalf of Alfred and the entire production team, I'd like to say a very big thank you for joining us. Don't forget that Hot Edition comes your way every Monday to Friday right here on 3FM 92.7. And for more news, log on to 3news.com. We'll catch you same time tomorrow.